Hello again from Skip, Victor Echo 6 Bravo Golf Tango. It's been quite a while since I've uploaded any videos, and I've had some people actually ask me if I'm doing all right. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm okay. I guess, been busy. Lots of little projects, but none of them have really gotten finished. So I thought I'd make a combination one here to show you what I've been up to, and we'll call it The Adventures of Skip. So here we go. This is one of the last videos I uploaded. I think it was building a new 13 centimeter feed with the IMU launcher. Well, the last video I showed you building it, and I got to it, and then I was trying to get the darn thing tuned. The transmit probe tuned beautifully, but this receive probe using the semi-rigid hardline like I do with all my other feeds was just one nightmare. Nothing but grief. I spent a hell of a lot of time on this thing, and I didn't get anywhere with it. As you can see in these last two pictures, this is my other 6 centimeter feed, and also my the original or my older 13 centimeter feed. I'm using the semi-rigid hardline for the receive probes on both of them, plus other feeds, and they just worked fine. So I was getting pretty frustrated. I tried different probes on the end of the semi-rigid line, fat ones, skinnier ones that are adjustable, easier to tune and all that. And no matter what I tried, the resonant point was always way below 2304, where I wanted it to be. The more I played with the probes and tried to get it tuned, the resonant point would just get shallower and then finally disappear. I just could not move it up frequency to 2304 point, or where the cursor is. So since the transmit probe, which is using an end connector, seemed to work so well, I guess I caved in, and I dug through my junk, found an end connector, and built up a probe on it. And to my big surprise, it was the same thing. I just couldn't believe it. But I've seen this before on other feeds, and the probe on the right was the first one I tried. You notice there's no shoulder around the center pin. The one on the left is the one that works. You tell me what the difference is. Anyways, I built up the probe on that one, and the stupid thing finally tuned. So I guess I'm going to have to give up on the semiconductor part, or the semi-rigid, for the receive probe, and carry on. And that's as far as I got with that project. Like I said, lots of little projects, none of them are getting finished. So I set it aside and carried on with this little project on the side for a friend, rebuilding his UHF amplifier. This is a lousy picture of the amplifier. I didn't take one, if you can believe that. Yeah, I got this one off the web, and it's a blurry mess, but it gives you an idea what the amplifier is. This is one of these TE brand type UHF solid state jobs, supposed to put out about 150 watts or so. Again, I don't have a whole lot of pictures of this job, but up in the top right hand corner there's a small bias board, and it was badly butchered. It had been overheated and stuff. And then when I took it off, I noticed that there's supposed to be 2 coupling capacitors, 2 surface mount jobs on the input capacitor here, and they were missing. So it began. Since the little bias control board was too badly damaged to rebuild, I modified this circuit to, I was switching the bias voltages in kind of in a different way. That's why what's with the wires, an extra relay there. And you'll notice up in the top left, there's a transistor missing. Well, that's the driver, we'll call it, transistor for the rest of it. And it was open. So I began with a couple other just scrap transistors I had laying around, and it just wouldn't put out. It was a puzzler. I thought maybe, okay, I got to get the original transistor, but not to be. Since I had the input circuit kind of modified, I could sweep the input, and I found that the input circuit, like I had tried peaking it, but nothing would happen. And I found that the input circuit was way, way down in frequency, and it would not adjust. This is as close as I could get it. I was lucky enough to have actually 2 of these amplifiers. One was a good working one, so I could compare foil layouts, and I found that this jumper was in a huge different spot. How this amplifier worked before is beyond me, but anyways, I moved the jumper up, and now she would tune on 432, and we got some output finally. It was better. I mean, it was putting out something now, whereas before I only got maybe 10 watts, but now it's just barely up to 100, and it should be putting out at least 125, I thought. So it still had an issue. So I struggled with this thing, and I found that the output circuit also had a jumper on the circuit, on the foil to make it resonant. It had to be moved. How this thing worked before is beyond me. And then I discovered on one of the output transistors, if I tried, trimming or tweaking the capacitors, this thing would break into oscillations on one stage like crazy. And then I discovered there that the feedback circuit was missing. There's a coil, a capacitor, and resistor, totally missing. So once I got that on there, I could tune it. Anyways, I got the thing finally working, and got it up to about 150 watts. So I was happy, and we boxed her up and gave it back to my friend. So that was the end of this project. Well, this is another one. I don't have these in order. I actually did this one quite a bit earlier, but anyways, I picked up an industrial computer a while back, and I was in the process of doing images of all my computers because of this bloody Windows or Microsoft upgrading to Windows 11 and all this stuff. So I wanted to get images of everything, and I decided to tie into this computer and see if I can get it going for using it as my my main EME computer for running the dish and tracking and stuff like that. So it was another adventure. Well, I use a lot of older video cards and serial cards, so I need a computer with the old ISA slots, and this thing was perfect. So it loaded nicely. I use Windows XP still, and to my surprise, I could go online with Microsoft and still activate Windows XP. So it worked out perfect. It loaded up nicely, and everything worked, and it fits in the rack. So I have another backup computer for my system. All this Windows updating crap, it drives me nuts. So you got to have a lot of old computers laying around for my type of stuff. Another little project I did was I picked up a new 23 centimeter transverter for my terrestrial setup. I was using this old SSB electronics thing I got from another friend, and it just didn't work all that good. So I got this Coons, which is just like the one I have for my EME setup, only it has the higher output module in it. So I put it all together and tuned her up and tweaked this and that and got her going, got her mounted in the chassis of my terrestrial setup, and life is good. It works like a charm. Here's the video. So this is the new terrestrial transverter inside of it anyway, so you can see there's the new Coons transmitter with the external oscillator, and it comes out of there and goes into this preamp module like before, and then drives the bigger one. Right now I'm just testing it. This little transmitter puts a lot more power, so I've got a 6 dB attenuator in there also. I'm not sure if it'll handle the power, but I got everything turned right back, so there should be no drive. And then it goes from there over to the watt meter. So let's see if I can show you the results here. I haven't got the camera on a tripod. So she's in full transmit mode now. I'll just grab the microphone, and should be around 8 watts. 7.6 should be good. We'll see. How linear it's going to be, I don't know. That's going to find out. So that's the game. Here, turn the sequencer off, and back to receive mode again. So we shall see. Next, hook up the power amp and get a bigger dummy load on there, and see what power we get out of it. So that worked out well. The new terrestrial system is back in rack and working like it should. Next project was this little gem. I built that scale model, 1/10 scale model of my dish, my EME dish, and I've been asked to take it to a few places to do, show and tell. So I had to figure out a way to transport this thing. So I came up with this frame that the dish will sit into and make it more transportable. So this frame opens up like a clamshell. It's got piano hinges on both sides. and it swings out like that, and then I slide the little scale model dish into that mounting holder in the middle there, and the framework comes up and closes up on top of it. The two halves of the frames come together and they bolt together, making a solid, we'll call a frame. There's some foam rubber that squeezes down on the back side of the dish and then on the sides to keep everything tight in place. This foam rubber, it's compressing into the dish frame itself, or the reflector of the dish, and keeps everything nice and solid so it doesn't bounce around, and it all becomes one solid block. So it's easy now to put in the back of my Jeep and hauler places. So turned out good. Adventure number 6. So this is a project that's still ongoing. I was repairing those IFR service monitors, and that one had that incredibly miserable power supply. It still doesn't work quite right. So on the IFR forum, I found a fellow there who designed these circuit boards, and I downloaded the file and gave it to another friend of mine to get made, and they came out real nice. And I've so far got them to fit inside the enclosure of the power supply. I took the old board out, the old original, and this board fits in nice and tight. So everything lines up. So I'm just waiting for parts now. I got everything, all the different, there's inverter modules and resistors and stuff, and there's one inverter module that's still back ordered. So stay tuned. This is an ongoing project. So this is a short one. Adventure number 7 was the ARRL EME contest, first leg of it all. I got on there for one night and worked a few stations. We had other plans, so I couldn't spend too much time on it. Everything worked okay. The amplifier was a little down, mainly because of the high voltage leakage to the old corroded distilled water again. So we made it through it, and that'll be another job upcoming. So short and sweet, but I had fun. That was the main thing. So this is a highlight of the year, I guess, or the fall, was me and Georgie. We flew down to Phoenix, Arizona, and then rented a car and drove to Tucson for the annual Microwave Update, or MUD 2025. We got down to our hotel resort where the conference was. It's called the Casino del Sol, and it is one lovely place. The weather was nice and warm, in fact hot during the day, and the pool there was fantastic. So beautiful location to have the conference. Arizona is quite a place. The cactuses are unbelievable. In fact, everything in that area has a barb on it. You don't want to fall over because you'll regret it, believe me. The first day there, though, before the conference, we met up with a friend, Stan Rubin, and he took us out to the desert, and we did some target practice. Nice assortment of guns, so it was a lot of fun. We don't get to do that much up here in Canada anymore, but we killed a couple hours off and really enjoyed ourselves. So thanks again to Stan for accommodating us and showing us a good time down in Arizona. That night we had a special supper banquet at the Pima Air and Space Museum. It was a private gathering, and we had the whole place to ourselves. It was kind of dark and spooky, but we walked around and really enjoyed looking at the different military planes and jets and stuff, and especially the SR-71. It's always a treat. What also was a treat was meeting up with Curious Mark. He has a very informative and very enjoyable YouTube channel where he restores a lot of old equipment and space communications gear and stuff like that. He was going to be the guest speaker at the main banquet at the MUD convention, so it was really enjoyable meeting up with Mark. And back at the conference the next day, the Roland Schwartz had their beautiful test lab equipment there. Very expensive gear, but it was fun watching them check out preamps and transverters and whatever else for people who brought their stuff in for testing. And then ICOM had their, what is that thing, an IC905 with the new 24 gig module that's just being released. So that was interesting to see also. Then during the conference also, there's another room set up, and a lot of the guys had brought in their portable microwave terrestrial equipment. Earlier in the week, a couple of days before, they were up on the mountain ranges that are just great in Arizona because they're high mountain ranges and then just flat land between them. So it's a good place to work, microwave. A lot of them were shooting for VUCC on their real nosebleed bands and stuff like that. But there's quite an assortment of goodies here, and it was neat seeing all this stuff. I don't see this 122 gig stuff and higher equipment very often, so it was really something to look at. And this is quite a contraption, is well worth mentioning. It's a 4-band setup. It's on a tripod. Definitely a one-man operation, but he ended up in the mountains, I guess, and he made a lot of contacts. So it shows you what you can throw together real quick to get out there and work with. So interesting, very, very wild stuff. For myself, being a bit of a builder and a tinkerer, I got to take special mention on this thing. This thing is completely homemade. The dish was spun from aluminum, the framework, everything. It's a dual band unit. I don't know if it's a 24 74 gig, but you can see the little copper feed horn there, and that was interchangeable. Cast grain feed, that impressed me, but it's just a beautiful piece of workmanship. And he was telling us that he put a lot of hours into it. He did say the cost, but I'm not going to say it here. But he built 2 of them because nobody else around to work them, so he built a second one to use as a loaner to hand out and have fun working people with these crazy things. But beautiful piece of workmanship. I mean, I was just so impressed. I couldn't get over it. Then on a parking lot, I came across this thing, and I did meet the ham earlier, and he told me about it, but I didn't realize he had driven this thing all the way from Texas, I think he said, to this conference, and he was up in the mountains a couple of days before, I assume, working the other fellows and trying to make VUCC contacts, whatever, on these high bands. Very wild. So the conference went off well. They did a good job, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. After that was over with, we drove around Arizona a little bit. This is a view from Mount Lemmon, where some of the guys were doing the microwave work from, and we were only halfway up there. And then through, I think it was called the Salt River Canyon. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere like this and nature calls, well, it's good to be prepared, but you got to watch where you squat, because like I said before, there's things out here, just everything has a barb on it. It's just waiting to poke you. So we were all done with the trip down to Arizona, so we came back home, and other than things around the house and things to get ready for winter, there was maintenance to do on the water-cooled 23-centimeter amplifier. Remember, the thing was leaking high voltage like crazy through the water again, so it was time to rebuild it. So to pull the chassis out of the rack, I got all the water lines disconnected and all the cables and other sort of wires, and as I've seen in other videos, the whole amplifier slides out on slides from the rack, and I just lift it off there and put it over on the bench, and that's where I'm going to work on it. You get to look down the power supply and see how things look down in there also. You don't get to view that very often, so it's a good time to check things out. Just like before and other times I've do this yearly maintenance, the thing that there's 2 water tanks, and the one water tank always has excessive rust on the bottom, so I was going to really look into it this time. So I pulled all the tubes out of the cavities, marked which was what, and had a close look at them. You can see on the rubber gaskets, the ones on the left are the worst. That's cavity A, and that's what the tank is for the where all the rust is. So it's in that area. So I had a close look at the tubes, and on the inside on this video you can see how the rust is formed. I guess the silver got eaten away, and the steel walls themselves are just rusting up from the water and the electricity. So yeah, that's it. So I replaced 2 tubes on cavity A, so give me all the grief, and cleaned all the wires and all the lines, and reclamped it and stuff, and slid it back in the rack. And I had to clean some of the larger hoses, tubings going to the water tanks, because they were kind of rusted up, and put some fresh water in the tanks, and ran it for a while, got check for leaks and stuff, and then let it run for about 2 hours on just to film it, just to burn in those 2 new tubes, and then we tried her out. Just a little over 700 watts. This is where I run it when I'm using the amplifier on off the moon, and I could get it up to 800, 900, even 1,000 watts, but things get exciting at that point. So this is where I run it at. It's plenty of signal. And since I was doing work on this thing, I figured I'd calibrate the digital displays for the high voltage. It's quite a voltage divider there, and they tend to wander off. It's measured around 1600. It's more like 1800, so I slid the racks out, the power supplies out, and just there's a pot on top I tweak ever so slightly, and got them calibrated, so one more thing done. And I forgot to mention, looking at the leakage meters on the back of the rack, the current leakage is back to normal again, so life is good. And the last thing to do was clean the water on the driver circuit. It's the single tube that's up in the transverter. It was a little scrotty looking tube, but it's all cleaned out and good to go. So adventure number 11, and this is the last one for now anyways. I've just recently been given this old Hewlett-Packard. It says oscilloscope, but it's actually a spectrum analyzer with this module. Now what had happened is the fellow was carrying it, and the handle broke, and down it went on the bottom left-hand corner of the front, and it cracked the aluminum frame. The frame being broke like this, the plug-in module won't slide in anymore. Everything's out of alignment, so it's kind of useless. So I've tearing the sides off. I've got to tear the modules all apart. I got to get that front panel out and away from everything, and probably grind it out and fill it full of JB Weld, and hopefully get things straightened so it'll plug in again. It's another project. So that's it in a nutshell. If you've been wondering what I've been up to, this kind of wraps it up. Lots of projects and none being finished, so that's why I've been uploading any video. We'll try and get more onto it. So thanks for watching. 73s for now from Skip, Victor Echo 6, Bravo, Golf Tango.